Taxing Times.
It's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's most ambitious program, Make in India. And so expectations are that Budget 2015 will make tax policy changes to help Make in India get off to a shining start. But before we get to tax incentives, I asked my panelists what Make in India means to them.
I kind of keep joking with my wife that it's not an instant noodle or an instant dosa, but it has to be fermented, and then only the next day you can have this. So there is no magic which is going to happen, straight away saying this is going to happen. So whatever we're going to do are going to lay the steps for things to happen. For example, in the defense, if you say I want to do something make and give an RFP today, it will take 3 years for the program to come through. So first and foremost is, if you're thinking about Make in India, think long term. Don't think today.
Right.
Yeah. Second, we can't be good at everything. So Make in India is not about make everything in India. We must find what we are good at and try to do that. For example, China is good at making long runs and big, if it is million parts
Scale.
scale, then that's what they would like to do. What is India good at? And I think that's an important
aspect. So what is India good at? What is Make in India according to you?
So I will tell you what I think they're good at. One, it is short runs, skilled, and where innovation is the middle name, and engineering. If you combine these four, this is one recipe that's good for India.
Okay.
Can India be the tractor capital, manufacturing capital of the world? Surely it can be, because these are short runs where skills are required, etc. So, and that's one end of the spectrum they should look at. They should also look at something which gets cost arbitrage into play at the beginning, but it doesn't end with cost arbitrage. It ends with innovation arbitrage, and that's where the skill again comes into play. So I would say these are two aspects. And then the third, just to finish off and not take all the time from everybody else, is to say what is strategic to India. I think two areas, telecom and things like telecom infrastructure and defense on one side, and things which have very vast internal consumption like TVs, like electronics, like cell phones. These are mass consumed within India. So for India, can we produce in India many of these things?
It's a fantastic concept.
Sure.
It's a game-changing, it's not just game-changing, it's multi-orbit shifting concept when it executed fully. So what it means for us, I believe, it's manufacturing.
Okay.
And manufacturing cannot come without technology, without innovation, without research. So all this would proceed or would concurrently happen along with the manufacturing process. And I don't think we have any core competences. We don't need to create any core competences. China didn't have any core competency when they started, but they pervaded the entire world with their manufactured products.
In specific areas, Mr. Parthasarathy pointed out, saying we're good at some things, we should try and focus on that as opposed to spreading ourselves.
That is history. That is history. That is history. The future can be different.
Mr. Parthasarathy, what is needed today? Just give me a laundry list of things that are needed to enable this Make in India policy.
Yeah. So laundry list first.
Laundry list.
Yeah. State and central government have to act in Jugalbandi.
Okay,
if they're going to act in separate economy. Second is they've got to get Make in India also, make it easy to be in India. Okay, not just for the people who come from outside, but people here as well.
Sure.
That's got to be the second thing. Third is, how do you welcome them in the initial part of the year for their investment that they're doing? How are you going to enable that? Some of these, like the mega projects, etc., now needs to have a broader base for it to be understood. And
are you talking
again,
incentives now when you say enable?
Mega project incentives, whatever name you call it, how do you ease them in?
Okay.
And then, the laundry list is get MAT to zero, reduce MAT or get it closer to zero for these kind of projects, because they will need to be given some leeway in the initial year.
What role does tax policy play?
It is a necessary but not the only factor in Make in India.
Mr. Subbarao, 10%, 20%, 30% of the success of Make in India will lie on tax policy?
Tax, I think it comes later. For making Make in India a reality of the life, we have to create large lakhs of acres of land available for the system. And if you want to acquire the land from the farmers, from other owners, it's not going to happen. It will take a century. So if you want to create that land available for this, one easy solution, quick solution, and you can go through the satellite images of our forest. There is no forest in so-called forest. And de-reserve 10% of the total forest land in the country where there is no forest and make it available for the manufacturing activity. And create all attendant facilities there, whether it's water, railways, airports, and captive power plants just adjacent to these zones. Create 1,000 zones of 10,000 acres of each in the country with single window clearance system. There you go to the gate of that zone, each of the zones, and get all the clearances and set up. And those, no word labor would be used for those who are employed in these zones. These are all employees. First thing in the labor reforms that you have to do, remove the word labor and create that kind of pride for the people who are going to work on the shop floor, that they are on par with the employees, and create that kind of skill set for them that they can get the jobs anywhere. Why you and me would not get into unionism? Because we can get the jobs anywhere, because the skill set is available. The same kind of skill set has to be made available for all the people who are going to work on the shop floor and there won't be any union.
What do you believe needs to be done on the tax front at least that gives industry and business the confidence that yes, this is not just an ambition and big talk, but a reality that's going to come very soon?
In this budget, MAT on SEZ, highly contentious. I mean, what's the point of saying I'm giving 200% of R&D benefit and then saying you have to pay MAT on it? I mean, let's have cohesive policies. So if you want to encourage innovation, if you want to encourage R&D, and want to encourage development, no point in putting MAT through the back door.
Okay, that links into what Pranav's also been saying, that we need to desperately streamline how MAT is applied, especially for instance if you're giving an investment allowance benefit, as you were telling me, Pranav, and then imposing MAT, you're taking away that entire investment allowance benefit.
Absolutely.
Right?
What one hand is handing over, the other is taking back. It doesn't make sense at all. So if you really want to incentivize manufacturing, if you want to bring back industrial growth, I think you need to give incentives and remove impediments. Those impediments can be legislative driven, rule driven, like for example the inverted duty structure where I have unutilized credits for years on end. The other is on the administrative side, remove impediments, make things easy, make a stable, certainty-led tax environment which is taxpayer friendly. And on the other hand, apart from removing these impediments both on the policy, on the legislation and administrative front, also give incentives and drive behavior in a certain manner. And that could be by way of investment allowance.
Which is, I think, the most commonly discussed sort of expectation right now.
Absolutely. And I think that will be a big thing if you streamline it in the right way. If today I am going to get investment allowance without any restrictions of MAT, that really means I have an investment allowance that incentivizes manufacturing.
Okay.
If we are talking of SEZs and if you want to drive it, the way SEZs have suffered over the last couple of years is real big. They went back on a promise. SEZ as originally introduced said MAT will not be levied on developers. MAT will not be levied on SEZ units. The promise also was no DDT on SEZ developers. All these promises were really withdrawn in somewhere around 2012. In 2012-13, the growth in exports from SEZ was 30% plus, 31% plus. In 13-14, the growth in exports from SEZ is less than 5%, 4%. So this is the kind of impact it creates, and the impact on the confidence, the trust loss or deficit that gets generated because of such policies is immense, which cannot even be quantified in monetary terms because it has a very long-term impact, if not even a medium.
So are you saying we need to relook and revive the SEZ program?
Absolutely.
Because at one time there was a lot of criticism that the SEZ policy of the government of India faced, saying this is more a real estate play than an effort to build the zones of the scale that China built, you know, in its free economic zones. So I'm just wondering, did we get it right at the first place? Should we go back to that, or should we just rethink this entire, because after that we've had the National Industrial Manufacturing Zones policy that came about, which was Anand Sharma's baby. That's still somewhere, you know, sort of floating around. Nobody knows what's going to come of that.
Correct. My point in all of this is I think the policy was good. It always will have space for improvement. But stability is what is required. I can't bring in something and 3 years later completely relook at it.
I would like to kind of second what has been said, that, you know, the SEZ policy of 12 was there. Let's start with that, and there is always room for improvement.
I have slight disagreement here.
Okay.
So there could be misuse, and that misuse will derail the entire program.
Okay.
There was a kind of misuse in the past initiative also, SEZ initiative.
So more of a real estate play than it.
Yeah, it has become, I wouldn't say more of that, partially it was real estate, and it was hyped up and the entire program was derailed. Rather than this, if the entire manufacturing zones, whatever you call it, are owned by the government, so then this would not come into this situation.
Aditya Birla Group presents Budget 2015, the Make in India Budget, co-presented by SBI. Taxing Times.
Girishri, as a country, we've been dancing around this for the last decade, and I don't think there's any clear political consensus on should we create zones, should those be export-oriented zones or domestic manufacturing-oriented zones, and therefore then what kind of incentives can you make available? What do you think will enable Make in India?
I think a combination of both. So we are saying we want to really make smart cities happen, we want to make these corridors happen, we want to make sure India is inclusively growing, which is backward area happening. For that, it's important that even domestic consumed manufacturing is encouraged. This SEZ holiday was more for this tax concessions when, we were forex fragile.
Sure.
And today if you see the oil prices, we look forex okay. I don't know how long will it last, but today it looks okay. So I think concessions have to be a combination of both.
Tax policy, what should the support tax policy be?
Tax holidays, no dividend distribution tax, you can have innovation, there's no matter on the R&D stuff which is happening, and you can do so many different things with it.
On exports, don't levy any income tax. It's zero income tax. On exports, no excise duty.
So this is equal to what the SEZ policy was.
Because if you are doing something for the service for the country.
For how many years though, sir? Because the SEZ policy incentives are coming to an end now. So are you saying for a 10-year holiday, 5-year holiday, 20-year holiday?
For exports, perpetually.
Perpetually?
For exports, because you are earning foreign exchange for the country.
Why should an exporter get a privilege over, let's say, a domestic manufacturer who's going to substitute imports which otherwise happens? After gold, probably the biggest import item was electronics. If I'm going to manufacture in-house, money saved, foreign exchange saved is money earned, foreign exchange earned. So why should it be different? I'm quite with you on that. All that I say is when we talk of business and what is it that is required to revive manufacturing, to revive business, to generate employment. One, I think we need significant infrastructure because that's an impediment today. Why are we not globally competitive? In India, I think we have the best of minds. We have the best of entrepreneurial skills. Why are we not competitive? One, we lack infrastructure, ports, whether it is ports, power, transportation, logistics, whatever. Second, I think we are mostly, when it comes to our businesses, we are capital starved. I think one other incentive, because a lot has been spoken about other things, I think apart from infrastructure and the incentivization of infrastructure, what we need is we must ensure that savings, we have significant savings in India, but they ought to be channelized in the right manner to financial instruments. We need to deepen our debt markets. We need to ensure that even capital is available to these businesses in a manner that is efficient. Otherwise, we are not globally competitive because the Indian businessman has to pay a much bigger cost of capital, and therefore make it. And how can tax policy drive that? Probably we had 1023G at one time section in the Income Tax Act, where an investor into infrastructure also is incentivized. I am now trying to channelize my savings into financial instruments into specific sectors which there is a crying need to ensure are re-energized or revitalized.
So what more can this budget do, since
this budget
already exist?
Right, this budget can help in deepening debt markets, which is big.
Specific steps?
Specific steps could be, for example, by giving concessional tax treatment to interest for investments into specific sectors, corporate bonds of companies engaged in specific sectors. There could be minimal withholding taxes on those. There could be significant amount of capital gains benefit in case those bonds are sold at a capital gain later on. Exemptions available like we have for shares. Why should there be a difference? If the richer class which can afford to take risks can invest in equity and get exemption, why should maybe a smaller person, a poorer person who has savings of a small amount not invest in safe, secured bonds and not get the same exemption?
Okay, so those are benefits to channel investments into infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Benefits for infrastructure projects as well, for instance, such as power generation enjoys right now.
Absolutely, and there should not be a MAT on that for the simple reason that otherwise...
keep coming back to MAT.
Right, and there should not be MAT on that. I don't want to raise that point again, but I'm just clarifying that we said that. But I think that's what we need to do.
Okay.
If we ensure that we give enough incentives for these sectors and leverage on our strength, which is our domestic market, we will have a globally competitive infrastructure. We will then have a globally competitive manufacturing base, which will help generate employment and growth.
All right. So Girish, we have consensus on please streamline MAT. Take away MAT where other incentives are being utilized, because otherwise MAT kills the benefit of that incentive. Definitely don't make MAT so onerous that the incentive is pointless, right? That's one. Pranav has suggested a bunch of incentives to direct money towards infrastructure and for infrastructure projects as well. We already have a bunch of incentives available for R&D and technology in the country. What more do you want to add to this list that you expect from the government in this budget?
See, from this budget perspective, fiscal policy perspective, nothing much more. I mean, GST is clearly everybody is waiting for integrated market, and that's a common topic wherever you discuss. I think, you know, as you started with, I think we are just looking at just the tax portion of it. Tax policies will not make in India happen.
No, that's fine. We've discussed that. In tax, what do you expect in the budget besides what we've already discussed so far?
You can look at smaller things like, you know, if you're taking technology or taking, you know, you're borrowing collaborative technology from somebody, withholding tax rate should be dropped, maybe 5%, 10%. International borrowings in particular sectors should be reduced. You should encourage foreign money by having clarity of tax laws, giving certainty and having car deferral and so on and so forth, because which company has set up a manufacturing plant in India from overseas also? Okay. It's been a while since that has happened. Yeah, so encourage the bigger, sorry.
Go ahead. Girish, I was just thinking two asks I wanted to kind of, you know, when you were saying, and sorry for butting in. One is stability of tax. You know, whatever they're doing, can we say that we will have stability? And
for the next 5 years, 10 years.
So I'm just saying,
that's not just for Make in India, that's also for being able to live in India.
You know, otherwise, you know, they come to India. Let's take a person from outside coming to India, and if I do today and I take over the next budget, that's one. Second is, can we make it administration proof that what is being given in the say by the, you know, by the budget is taken away in all the administrative calculations that are done, like R&D. Then they say, oh, this is not counted, and this is not counted, and that's not counted. And then it becomes, and who does this? People who are not intended, but they are the consequence. So can we get in administrative? I'm sorry, Girish, you can go ahead. But I thought these were two important aspects of that point.
Anything else you want to add to the list quickly, Girish? This covers it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a couple of
things. Please do.
Remove all the surcharges in this. There is surcharge on this, education says, they say all over 1 crore of income if you are earning something, so there is additional tax. Remove, at least to make it beginning, to remove all these things.
So where is revenue going to come?
No, I will tell you that.
Okay.
And second is, you have a phased program of the tax reduction. So next 5 years, they are going to be the tax rates. The government has to give a commitment. Every year, I am going to reduce the corporate tax rate by 1%, 1%,
Why
1%.
not personal income tax rate?
No, everything. I'm just coming to this. So you reduce, like Singapore has an attractive tax policy. The tax rates are low, both personal as well as corporate. You bring the domestic tax rates on par with best destination like Singapore. So in a phased manner, not in this. But how does the government compensate this? So one way is through incremental GDP. Second, this country has a spending power. This country doesn't have the tax paying ability. This is a basic dichotomy. I know many people, friends, families who have the purchasing ability to buy large homes, BMW cars, Mercs and all those things, but they don't have the tax paying ability.
That's called criminal, sir.
Because system is allowing. So who is criminal then, right? From politicians to bureaucrats to business people to everyone is a criminal.
So reduce rates and streamline tax policies for better compliance.
How do you streamline this in a quick manner? Bring income tax on the spending. Income tax, not on
excise. So indirect taxes then?
Not indirect tax. It is a direct tax.
Income tax on spending?
Income tax on spending. Say for example, if I am buying a BMW, levy 20% tax on this and won't claim in your return by way of TDS. So the entire spending which is not getting accounted today, it will come under net, tax net.
Okay. Okay, interesting suggestion. I'm sure there can be much debate on this, but I won't debate it right now. We'll accept it as an out-of-the-box suggestion.
That's how we lose the time, keep on debating for years together and don't do the things.
Okay. Well, what would you add to the list of what you expect from the budget?
GST, certainly.
Yeah,
it's going to make
that's fine. Yeah.
GST. And second is take away the early investment disadvantage or disincentive. Just to give a perspective that anybody who goes to a particular place to invest first, he kind of starts at a very low scale because it's still not taken out. Once, couple of years later, when things all become all right, everybody else flocks to that place. For
so
example,
how do you take away that disadvantage?
So for the guy who comes in early, make the end date common to everybody, but the start date of the first guy who comes in is a little longer than the guy who comes later. For example, if you give 10 years, after 2 years it should start. The first guy who comes in gets 14 years instead of 12.
That's what you mean.
That's what I mean, that it's a real early disadvantage. So nobody wants to go first. But with this, more people will want to start faster because they will have a bigger advantage to do so.
The principle, some principles.
My list is very long at this point in time. It starts with MAT, it has inverted duty structure, it's got infrastructure incentives, it's got better tax administration, it's got more R&D benefits, it's got removed surcharges, rationalized tax rates, it's got income tax on spending, it's got takeaway first mover disadvantage. What do you want to add to this?
Should I say abolish income tax?
Sounds like that almost, doesn't it? Realistic expectation.
Yeah, so I would feel very focused incentives rather than across the board incentives is what is required. And when I say incentives, complete, not taken back through the MAT route. Second, I think a big shift in mindset in the way this law is administered. We need a stable, definite, trust and confidence building tax administration. I think these two things from a tax policy and administration standpoint should be enough.
Aditya Birla Group presents Budget 2015, the Make in India Budget, co-presented